calmness that no one can ever disturb. And that, I say, is the goal. That is nicer than even happiness. When you get to a high degree of joy, where joy gets very intense, even the joy itself can get to be disturbing in that it's too much action. There's a nicer state than joy called peace. I'm calling it calmness. And I say that is the goal. And that when you get that, you're in the nicest place there is.
By the way, Lester, if you did look like Alfred E. Newman all the time, I don't think anyone would like you.
Yes. Not to be cutting off or nothing, but you say this whole concept is how to find inner peace, right? Okay.
Outer peace, too.
Please?
Outer peace also.
No, we're projecting your physical.
Yeah, get to the place where things and people do not disturb you. And that's what I mean by outer. People are out there.
But in other words, what you're running...
Yeah. Oh, let me finish with this gentleman. Let me finish with him first, please. I want to satisfy, to the degree that I'm capable, your question. I have used the method. I reached a place where I have no problems in life. I know the mind is only creative. I'm able to use my mind to create whatever I want. What I discovered, I would love to see others discover also. I am trying to get it out so others can discover that there is a place where they can be, where they are disturbed no more. Ask me your questions again.
All right. I know most doctors, when they come upon a discovery, let's say psychiatrically, will make it known to the medical professional through a paper or publish it in the AMA magazine or whatever. In other words, they'll make it public to the rest of, make it known to the general public at large. I've heard about EST. I've heard about a lot of these mind things that are going on today. That seems to be the craze that our society is into, getting into oneself, the inner. But I haven't heard about yours.
Right, because we have been very quiet. This week we started advertising the first time we moved out. And I'm questioning whether I should. We're not that noisy, as you say the others are, in shouting our wares, yes.
Why wouldn't you want to be?
Well, what we have is really nothing new. Everything I said has been said by many others and is as old as man is. The potential of man has always been known, right? I haven't said anything new that you haven't heard before, have I?
Not tonight.
But you teased us with the idea that you have a process that we don't know.
That nobody else knows about either throughout history.
All right, I say that is true. I have it. I can't prove it to you. The best proof you can get is talk to someone who's been through it, in whom you have confidence, or the only real proof is if you take it yourself. If you don't feel that...
Yeah, I'd like to hear from some of these people how they've experienced
benefits
benefits and what changes have been affected.
Okay, are there any graduates here who would care to speak out? See, we don't use pressure. We don't believe in that. Are there any graduates who would like to tell of their experiences on how they have been helped in their lives?
Well, I will say that as far as you're saying the method, what it is a tool. Yeah, I have taken the course. I probably have been involved with Lester longer than anyone other than Jim here in this room. I heard about Lester when he was in Arizona, and from a friend of mine here in New York, an actor, and that he was just starting this course, and this was 2 years ago, and I flew out to Arizona and stayed there for about 10 days and took this course, and I was sort of staying at what there was a center there, which there was at that time, and I I took it there, and then I came back to New York and used my tool. And the advantage I see it in it is that there is something that you can use in every circumstance, in every situation, and it's directly connected with you. I mean, and where you are at that particular moment. And I mean, I had studied metaphysics, and I had studied Gestalt, and I had studied various other things, which all say all the truths in very glowing terms. And I was raised knowing that I was an infinite being. I was told this since I grew up. And I mean, that's great to hear. I mean, it's lovely. I can say I'm an infinite being forever. But, there are lots of things that come up, and, I had crises and tears and battles and all kinds of things. And this way of looking at not only yourself, but looking at human behavior in general is absolutely fantastic. And it is a very simple way. It's not complex. That's the genius of Lester, is he has been able to put it in the simplest form. And I think the simplest things are the best. And the easiest way to do it. And it's sort of for 20th century viewing. It's sort of for the way we live. It's sort of not to go into an institution and sit as a monk and meditate, but it is within our complex society that it works the best. And I will say that I have a 15-year-old daughter who is also taking it. And it's helped with her age group, too. So, and it's one of those things as much as you use it, it works.
What has it done for you?
Well, I will say that it, my one problem was that I had sort of when I went to Lester, I was in a very apathetic state, in a state of grief, where things in life, I would cry. I mean, I couldn't, if I was talking to a business person or if something went against my coil, suddenly these tears would come up, and if I would get into this incredible situation, I couldn't function. You see, I was able to see this. This is one tangible thing, and able to see why it was, where I was, and to rid myself of it and sort of progress up the ladder in all things that were holding me back in this field. And I am an actress and a creative person, and I was also able to see that I was able to tap into my own creativity and my own intuition far greater than I could ever dream I would be able.
Can I ask you a question? If you've taken the course and the tool is that simple, what has to stop you from starting your own processing?
I have no desire to do that.
Or anyone else who would take the...
They certainly could. I'm sure if you'd like to start a course, but I mean, I enjoy the mind freedom, and I've enjoyed working with Lester, and I've enjoyed the people around it, and I've enjoyed supporting it without, I have too many other things to do rather than start my own religious group.
Can I say something about that?
Don't you think you'd like to take it first?
I want to say something about what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
The simplicity of it is the most mind-blowing part of it. And just the idea of trying to make it more simple than it is well, first of all, there's only two directions you could possibly go. You could make it more complicated, which wouldn't be the method, which would be a lesser thing. You couldn't get more simple, so you couldn't go the other way. It's just incredible.
The process is that simple. Once someone learns it, they can pass it on to someone else.
Not necessarily. It's just like, it's very simple to use a hammer. But there is some skill into it. Yeah, it does take practice, and it also takes energy. It takes skill. And it's a method that and it takes time, and it's something that can't just, in 5 minutes you could say what it is, but it's one of those things where you have to experience it.
That's why it's structured for 30 hours. It's structured in such a way that you learn as you're going on. The first day, when I just graduated 2 weeks ago or so. And the first day I took it, I was using the method and it was working for me. And sometimes when a person uses it, they get overwhelmed with such joy they start laughing a lot. I didn't laugh that much though. I just I just released it, just enjoyed myself. I didn't laugh so much. And the greatest thing for me is that my girlfriend also said, we've got a beautiful relationship. We're just flying. And it's only been like a couple of weeks, and she's been at it 2 weeks more than I have. It is. It's very permanent. You can use it as much as you want. The more you use it, the more you dump. And you can use it in any situation, anywhere, with anyone. You carry it with you. Like you said, it's a tool that works. It's great.
I want to say something else. The greatest thing it's done for me is gotten rid of a thing called despair. And one thing I could say is permanently gone. Anything that comes up, I can handle it. I mean, I may choose not to handle it, but it's the joke's on me. You know, I see it immediately. Just let go of it, and it's gone. There's nothing in the way of your unlimitedness except your own holding on to concepts of limitation, and that's all we're holding on, feeling very holy about it, you know. You like a hole in there.
It sounds, when everybody's saying, and maybe you'll be able to sing everything, sounds pretty nice and really beautiful. And it's, everybody is also saying, you know, how they're feeling, really happy, everything's fine, and great, and beautiful. How long does it last? You know, a year, 2 years, 5 to 10? You come back and meet you?
Our unhappiness is due to the suppressed garbage that we're holding. The inhibitions and the compulsions cause our unhappiness. As we dump them, we gain happiness, and it's permanent from here on. And the more we dump, the happier we become. So as time goes by, we get happier. But what we dump is dumped permanently, whatever it is.
In other words, hang-ups from childhood that our parents might have dumped on us, we can let go of.
Anything that you accepted from your parents, is a better way to put it, yes.
Lester, your method has anything to do with auto-suggestion?
No. See, auto-suggestion is programming. We try to deprogram all the programs. All these programs are of limitation. We get the programs out of the way. The intuitive being that we are comes through.
How do you counteract years of habit? I mean, in 2 weekends, you'll counteract the whole lifetime of bad habits, bad programs?
No. You're shown a method that becomes a tool that you use in your everyday life.
Would you slip and forget the tool and go back to your old?
No, because it's so basic and it's so cover-all, you can't help but see it in the world. As you go through the words, you just see it. It's a simple presentation of what it's all about. You cannot help but see it in your everyday life.
How large a group is it? What do you instruct?
The group is usually 10 to 12 people. It's informal. We work around a table. As we present the data, we try to get you through the experiencing of it. And you experience it, others experience it. And when one is experiencing, usually others experience with them in actually dumping the subconscious pressure, drive, inhibition, compulsion. These are different words for the same thing. You're in a way of dumping the subconscious pushes and pulls.
Is there reading material involved?
No. We give you the total picture on a chart right in front of you. But the way is taking you through it, experiencing you through it, on how to get a handle on the subconsciously suppressed, all that stuff. You get a handle on it, and you actually discharge it, don't you?
Could we have just a sort of a brief demonstration
No.
of this?
No,
For instance,
I can't demonstrate it
well,
because it's...
someone is up against a difficulty or predicament. Someone is just going over to them and giving them a nudge and a dirty look and say, "You damn fool, you remind me of my mother."
Okay. That first...
what would you do?
Does any graduate want to answer that? If not, I'll answer it. You get your disturbed feeling in a certain way that you can actually discharge it, and you're not disturbed.
That is very vague and
You don't care whether you
leaves
want
me with a sense that you haven't responded. How do you get rid of it? What do you do?
I want the actual application.
All right, here's the answer. I cannot tell you experience. The reasoning mind can never, ever comprehend it. It's an experience of ridding yourself of suppressed feelings.
My reasoning mind isn't an abstraction. It's based upon experience and life and feeling. So there's an analogy in anything you say that will speak to my experience.
Not true. Not true. If your reasoning mind could do what we say, you would have it. You would have it. You would read it. You've already read it in books. You know what it takes to be happy. If your reasoning mind could do it, you'd have it.
What are we talking about in terms of money? What is it talking?
The price of the course is $195
For the 2 weekends?
for the 2 weekends.
That meal included?
Room aboard?
Yeah, you get your midday meal is included.
Now, tourist rate. That's first class. So what if you go tourist?
Same price.
Very hard.
I think this will go up like S did. S started at about $150. Then we're something about 300. 300 now? 300. Hey, maybe we better get in on the ground floor.
Though I haven't taken this, it seems to me that the very fact that it's on a smaller level makes it more desirable, more intimate.
Yeah, we don't have 250 people. We have about a dozen. And we work with each one.
Have you taken any other of these courses?
That's in your experience, has there been anyone that has not been successful with?
No. One could choose not to use the method and not be successful.
But if there is somebody who would not want to use it but finds it impossible, I don't know the method, so I'm thinking out of my head, then it would not be successful.
There are different degrees of success. But there's some good gotten by everyone. The totality of the presentation shows the simplicity of it, so that each one does gain.
Aren't you really asking, has anyone said, I didn't get anything out of it, I want my money back, or something like that?
Not yet.
Do you offer reinforcers, like additional weekends or days or hours?
For those who want more, we do have a workshop every Wednesday night.
Can this be applied to quitting smoking, overeating, overdrinking?
The people who have had the course, some have dropped smoking with no fight. I think the majority are still smoking, though, or were smoking. Some have lessened, most of them have lessened their smoking who haven't dropped it. Yeah, some have dropped it with no fight. Some have dropped overeating.
Wouldn't you say that the goals that people might have would be essentially right thinking rather than getting rid of obsessions like smoking or overeating, drinking, whatever, drugs?
That's more important. Right thinking will get you to the right place.
Most compulsions are a result of wrong thinking. Once you correct the wrong thinking,
Well, see,
right,
the thinking is
eliminate the compulsion.
thinking is caused by the compulsion. Our feelings motivate our thoughts. We get hungry, we think how to get something to eat. We are cold, we think how to get ourselves warm. We want to make money, we think how to get a job. We're in a job, we think what we must do to maintain that job. See, the feelings motivate the thoughts.
Isn't the ultimate thing in life is not to think at all?
The ultimate state is when your mind is at peace and has no thoughts until you want to put a thought in. Today we're plagued by thoughts, whether we want them or not. So the ultimate state, yes, is to get to the place where the mind is totally at peace. When you get there, the harmony that is natural to the universe will manifest for you. Life gets to be less and less requiring of effort. We can reach a place where it's almost effortless. Everything falls into line for us.
Tell me, Lester, how do you deal with someone who says, I have a pressing problem right now and I can spell it out? What do you do with that?
They immediately apply the method.
Because I have a pressing problem right now, and I'm wondering if, even though I didn't take the course, if I could apply the course
No,
to my problem.
you would have to.
No, it's not that, fortunately.
You would have to learn how to use it. You're so conditioned to do the opposite right now. If I told you what it was, you couldn't use it. But when you go through it again and again and again for 30 hours, by experience you see, oh, it does work. And you'll never understand it because there is no understanding to it. Yet we give you the intellectual understanding of it. The outer, what you think is understanding, but the real understanding is the experiencing. It's in the feelings where we get straightened out. We get rid of the subconscious drives. There's no understanding of the subconscious drives. If there were, you wouldn't have them. You wouldn't be plagued by them.
Where does love come in all this?
Love is our really basic inherent nature, and all these subconscious feelings cover it over.
Are you full of love now?
Yes.
How do you show us how you feel love?
If you don't feel it, I can't show it to you.
No. That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out, because if you are unlimited, then nothing can limit you, not even my limitation.
I am not.
Therefore, show me that you feel and express and project love. Don't say I can't do it, because that's a confession of limitation.
I am not at that high goal yet, and I have not said that I am. And love is a thing you experience. Love isn't a thing I tell to you, I love you. I can say I love you, I love you, I love you all day long and be thinking of how to hurt you. My wishes for you are only the best. I want you to have what you want. And that's where my love comes from.
I have a few more endorsements.
They're selling much better, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I can't sell the product. I can only present it.
I have two questions that are kind of related. In the first place, are the experiences of other people necessary, or can we do this on a one-to-one basis?
You can do it on a one-on-one basis.
In other words, in a role of a teacher to a student.
Yes.
Well, if that's the case, then why haven't you written down and sold this book? It should be much more.
There's only one reason why I haven't. It's impossible. If I could have, I wouldn't be putting myself through this effort.
It'd be much more.
You see, I know the mind laws. Mind is only creative. We create only that which we hold in mind. Unfortunately, we're holding most of our stuff subconsciously and creating things we think we don't want because we don't see that we're holding negative thoughts. I have no problem with life. I don't need this. It's only out of what he's talking about, compassion. I would love to see others get this. As soon as this will get on its feet, I'll step out of it. I don't need it. I don't need the glory.
I have another answer.
It's out of compassion that I'm doing what I'm doing. It.
$195.
Well,
I'll tell you this, it'll be the biggest bargain you ever will have had in your entire lifetime. This I know. I can't prove it to you.
What therapy says.
Is it guaranteed? Somebody else will say
It's,
If you don't have faith in it, I'll tell you on the guarantees. I'll tell you my experience with it. I could do it very easily. I have seen several people not get it because they were guaranteed. I've seen it used by the person not to get the course. And I'll tell you the reason why I charge. For 24 years I put this out. Not only would I not charge, I wouldn't take a donation. Donations were collected and given to me, and I turned them back. I was aware of my doing a disservice to people, but I just couldn't charge. Freud said it way back in the beginning. Unfortunately, my patients get better to the degree that they have to pay for it. We are subconsciously so conditioned to value in accordance with what we put out. If I didn't charge you, I would be doing you a disservice.
That's all right. We don't.
Well, I do. This is a love I have, which I wouldn't do to you.
I've been doing this for 24 years, you said?
Yeah. I have only put it out in an organized way now, charging for it in the past 2 years. I started roughly about 2 years ago. And I had far more effectiveness in the past 2 years than I had in the previous 22 years. Because
this money talk almost gets me itchy to say something. I'm a graduate. And I had the same feelings when I came here the first time. I didn't know anybody. I read the little notice somewhere. And it sounded like a ripoff to me, because they don't tell me what it is and come and find out. Some intuition said to me, okay, risk it. You had lost before, and I took it. And now, 5 months later, it is so incredible what I've gotten for it. It's not even that dramatic. I wasn't lying in the gutter and was screaming in pain. No, I was pretty well adjusted because I had taken everything, you name it. Religious science, mind control, Buddhism. I'd gone through many paths, and I took something from each path, and I felt I was getting better, and I was functioning very nicely, thank you, but underneath there was a great deal of pain. And I kept it down, and it worked. And this has taken this pain and literally dissolved it, and I'm in a state which is absolutely beautiful. And believe me, $195, it's ridiculous to even talk about. And no matter what your financial condition is, it's worth that and many thousands more. If you go for 2 or 3 years to an analyst, you would consider 3,000 cheap, surely. And there's not.
I wanted to say, I want to say that. Number one, it worked for you, just as many people want to Freudian or online psychiatrists. It's worked for them very well, and yet many thousands of others who've gone to these online and Freudian psychiatrists, it hasn't worked for them. So what's good for one may not be good for the other. And also I wanted to comment on the old way of psychiatry where they said if you don't pay for it, you won't get better, or you won't get better as fast, and has to be a sacrifice. Well, there was a recent report in Psychology Today that said that they found that even when the patients don't pay for it, like when they get it for on ill pay or...
Well, sir, I'm not talking about just getting well. I'm talking about being in a state where the world can do its thing, but I'm not affected the same way I was before. That's something which is far beyond well.
How has your life changed? You sound very convincing.
How has it changed? Well, first of all, that I stand here and talk, that's a change. That's a big change. And I don't feel uptight about it. If you all could tell me to shut up and sit down, I wouldn't feel rejected. Now, rejection has been a major thing in my life. It wasn't always acknowledged, but it was there. And in many relationships, it came out inside. And it did those little things that weren't very nice. That is a change which is very dramatic to me. Maybe not to you, but to me, it's a big one. In other words, it makes everything easier. Including if the landlord gives me a hard time, I don't get uptight and I'm able to function better. I can see better through him, I can feel better with him. If professionally I'm functioning very alive.
Excuse me, you said if the landlord gives you a hard time, like you said, well, you're evicted, you mean you can smile, just pack up your things and walk out, right?
Well, as you asked me a direct question, the answer is yes. It's not that much more, that's not that important anymore what the world does to me, it's how I react to it. I find a way, I feel relaxed about it. I would have been shaken up, say, a year ago, yes.
Have you been able to deal with things that have happened in your childhood that you've been upset about?
Oh, that is so big, I can't even start to talk about it. It would take me 3 weeks to explain to you. I have literally shed these things like shells, like an egg that has 50,000 shells. They came off just by themselves. And as they came off, that's what we call letting go. It's like I'm flying. I'm like in a balloon, and the baggage comes off, and I'm just floating because these things that happen, even things that I don't remember, they're still, the computer carries them forward and presses, and they are coming off. Yeah, that's probably the greatest one.
And this is permanently? You don't have to keep doing this every month and a half?
Well, once it's done, once it's done, it doesn't come back. I have a very simple example. It may not be terribly dramatic, but I have a little dog. I'm very fond of him. He's 12 years old, and he's a little sunshine, a little Yorkshire Terrier. And right after I took the course, he came down with a growth, and it was cancerous, and it was very sad. But I applied the method, and I saw him suffer, very deeply suffer, and I was not affected in the same way. I was able to love him more, but not suffer. However, 4 weeks ago, he came down with a second cancer growth, and this seemed to be really serious. And this time, I did not have to go through the same process again. It worked. That to me was a big thing because I thought I would have to go through the same thing and apply what I learned. Didn't have to be. It was an identical situation, and it didn't need to be redone. That doesn't mean if a new situation would come up, I wouldn't use the method. But this time, I had a proof. And a dog, what is emotionally attached to it. However, I'm letting myself love him more because I'm not worried about losing him now, which is foreseeable in the near future. I'm not worried about suffering because I can just allow myself to love and not to pay the price.
Excuse me, Matt. By you taking this course here, do you feel like you are the master of yourself? Are you the cause and effect of everything that happens to you through this course?
I'm the course, yes. I accept it. I'm accepting my
do you feel like you are the master of your own self? Like
I feel that I'm in harmony. Yes, I feel that. Yes.
You're in harmony.
Yeah.
Yes. You are the cause and effect of everything that happens to you.
Right.
And without this course, you would have never been able to obtain, the harmony that you have within yourself.
I might have, but certainly not in this length of time. These 5 months, from where I can see, is incredible. That's something I've never seen before. I have taken things from everything. If you sit long enough and practice Buddhism, you get better, but it takes a very long time to get there. And there was a great deal of pain underneath, even when I was peacefully meditating, that I could not cope with. And this, I have been able to take care of.
Thank you. Is there any chance that the process that helps you release stuff could be used against you to stop stuff?
No. What you're dumping are really subconscious inhibitions and compulsions, none of which are any good, every bit of which is interfering with your freedom in life and happiness.
Does this have anything to do with actualism? The star,
See, what I say is the same as what you've heard from many schools, but our method is not like any other one. It's unique.
As far as you know, it's never been done in any other culture or time in history.
Right.
Does this depend on self-knowledge, insight, awareness? In other words, interpreting the feelings that come from the so-called unconscious, making them conscious, illuminating them?
No, we don't interpret, we don't dwell in them.